From an economic point of view, the navigation of interplanetary space must be effected to ensure the continuance of the race. And if we feel that evolution has, through the ages, reached its highest point in man, the continuance of life and progress must be the highest end and aim of humanity, and its cessation the greatest possible calamity. Robert Goddard, Rocket Pioneer, 1913. So much of the excitement had given way to crushing anxiety and despair. It was September 28, 2008, and a group of about 15 SpaceX employees found themselves on a tiny tropical island preparing to fly the company's white Falcon 1 rocket into orbit. For many members of the group, the moment came as the culmination of 6 years of grueling work and should have represented a shot at achieving pure bliss. The problem was that they had been in such situations before, and things had not gone well. 3 previous rockets had been launched from this small plot of jungle-covered land in the middle of nowhere and had either blown up shortly after launch or broken apart during flight. The wounds of those past failures had pushed many of the SpaceX engineers and technicians into a state of serious self-doubt. Maybe they were not as bright and creative as they had told themselves. Maybe Elon Musk, the SpaceX founder and CEO, had made a terrible, costly mistake by believing in them. Maybe they were minutes away from needing to look for new jobs. The conditions for this type of operation were comically less than ideal from the start. SpaceX had set up its rocket launching facility on Kwajalein Atoll, a collection of 100 islands hanging out together in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, with Hawaii and Australia as their theoretical neighbors. The island specks barely edge out of the water, and they all come with the thick humidity, inescapable sunshine, and salty spray welcome during a tropical holiday, but abhorred while doing manual labor and toiling with machinery. A couple members of the SpaceX team paid their first visit to Kwajalein in 2003, hoping to find a place where they could go about their wild rocketry experiments without too much interference. The location made some rational sense. The U.S. military had run operations out of Kwajalein for decades, particularly around its radar and missile defense systems. To facilitate such missions, the Army had built enough infrastructure on Kwajalein to support the daily lives of 1,000 people and to conduct the complex weapons systems tests. Best of all, the locals were used to things being blown up and were perhaps more accepting of a group of unproven 20-somethings and a dot-com millionaire appearing on the scene with a big metal tube full of liquid explosives and crossed fingers. The day-to-day reality for Team SpaceX, however, ended up being more Gilligan's Island than well-oiled military outpost, the main reason being that all the good stuff, the equipment, housing, stores, eateries, and bars, was located on Kwajalein Island, the largest of the islands. Meanwhile, SpaceX had been banished to Omelek Island, an 8-acre lump of land with an infrastructure that consisted of a couple boat docks, a helicopter landing pad, 4 storage sheds, and about 100 palm trees. It was there that SpaceX would receive rocket parts being sent from its operations in California and Texas and assemble them before testing and eventually launching an entire rocket. In 2005, the effort to transform Omelek into something more functional began in earnest. SpaceX employees poured a large concrete slab to serve as the rocket launch pad. They put up a tent to create a shaded place to work on the rocket and house their tools. Some 1960s-era portable trailers were reconfigured into living quarters and offices. Plumbing was available on a do-it-yourself basis, and meals consisted of prepackaged sandwiches or whatever they could haul out of the ocean. Despite the difficult conditions, the SpaceX crew worked at an astonishing speed, particularly for the aerospace industry, which tends to measure delays not in weeks or months, but in years. The once barren Omelek began to fill with large cylindrical tanks for storing the liquid oxygen and kerosene propellants needed to fuel the rocket and the helium used to pressurize various